Hello, and welcome to Soda Review Channel, where we're wishing you a happy new year. And new year, new Coke. Well, not new Coke. That's a different thing. It's just different Coke. This is a Japanese Coca-Cola that we got at an anime convention recently, and it's a little bit different. So let's talk about some of those differences. Ignore that this is the Santa one. It's okay. Well, we got it this year, but I'm sure it was made last year. All right. So start with this container is 300 milliliters, and this one's 591. So this is about half the size, which makes this about 10 ounces. And it's measured in 100 milliliter servings at 45 calories each. So this bottle's about 135 calories. This one's about 240. So this one's maybe a little more, but about the same. Um, and this one, notably, has fructose glucose syrup and sugar listed as its sweeteners, where this, of course, has high fructose corn syrup because it's American Coke that we just got at a store. I don't remember for sure which one, but it doesn't really make a difference here. This one also does not list carbonated water as an ingredient. I'm sure that's a I'm sure that's just a regulatory difference. Otherwise, they mostly appear to be the same, although obviously the phrasing is a little bit different just because this is an importer's label where this is a manufacturer's label. And in that way, they just, it's translation. It's going to be a little weird sometimes. So, we have a 10 ounce metal, probably aluminum bottle that is very weird, uh, at least to me as an American, because we don't have this form factor of container here. I also think it is curious that while there are things on here in Japanese, the primary logo and even the original taste are in English. Um, so is the one here on top of the lid. We do have some Chinese Coca Colas coming up that have the logo in Chinese, which is kind of what I would expect. I just think that's kind of interesting. And let's see what we got. Okay, so that immediately smells different. Almost very, very vaguely of, I want to say sulfur, which is not what I would expect. Let's pour it and see what we're working with here. That's not quite 100%, so it would fill up this glass a little more. There's a tiny amount left in here. So I'm thinking this might be a little bit lighter. I'm not sure about that, but I was thinking that while I was pouring it and holding it up to the light, it does look just a little bit clearer, I think, than what I'm used to. It also might be a little less carbonated. I'm noticing what seems like quite a bit less bubble accumulation on the outside of the glass. Now let's smell it again. Yeah, that definitely smells different than what I'm used to. I would say it smells. The word that comes to mind is cleaner, but not in the way that. Not to say that regular Coca Cola, regular American Coca Cola, smells dirty. More so that this kind of gives me the vibe of like a clean linen air freshener, just a little bit. I don't know why, but I almost do kind of get that from it. Let's see how it tastes. Well, that's not the same at all. So it does taste more like a real sugar Coke than the typical American ones with high fructose corn syrup. A lot of the time, the real sugar ones are sourced from Mexico, commonly referred to as Mexican Coke, which makes sense because they're Coke from Mexico. Although I think we might make some of them here now. Not sure about that. I'm sure it's the same stuff either. Well, I would be sure it's the same stuff either way, but I haven't checked. And this is clearly not the same stuff, despite saying original taste, and this one also saying original taste. They don't taste the same, so they can't both be original taste. That's not how that works. I do kind of get a flavor. Well, no, a smell, not a flavor. I didn't mean to say flavor there. I do kind of get a smell somewhere between an extremely light sulfur and a clean linen air freshener, which makes no sense at all to me. That's definitely what I get though. Back to the flavor though. It does have that flavor element that you get when you do use real sugar to flavor something. Well, to sweeten it. But I mean, sweetness is a flavor. Um, but it also doesn't taste exactly like a real sugar Coke either. It's not as strong, and I'm not certain it's exactly the same combination of flavorings. Hmm. It does taste different, but that could be it could be a number of things. It doesn't necessarily mean they're using a different flavoring blend. Um, this lists both sugar and fructose glucose syrup um, as sweeteners. It actually lists the fructose glucose syrup first. So it could be the sweetener that's making it have this different flavor, or it could be a different flavoring blend. Of course, they don't actually say what the flavoring blend is. Just because that's, the secret formula. They have to like it can't be a secret if they're manufacturing in this much bulk. I just don't know what it is, and you probably don't either. Curiously, I don't see a caffeine rating on here. Obviously, it is caffeinated, um, but I don't know how much. Well, I say obviously, but yeah, it has caffeine in it. Um, Whereas the American one does say that it's 57 milligrams of caffeine per 20 ounces. This one just lists caffeine as an ingredient. It is possible that somewhere in the Japanese text on here it does say how much caffeine is in it, and that could also be under this importer's label, which does not itself disclose the amount of caffeine. I'm curious. Obviously, it doesn't really taste like it has more or less because caffeine doesn't have a meaningful flavor as far as I'm aware. But I was just curious. I know um, caffeine is considered more important or less important in some markets, and also it's probably more or less regulated in some markets. So I could very much see that affecting how much caffeine would go into a drink in a different market. But it doesn't really affect the taste in a meaningful way. At least not to me. Probably not to you. Um, like I said, we did get this at an anime convention, and I believe we got it from Pete's Pops. Um, Pete's with the Z. Um, we we might link that in the description. Um, if you're really curious. I am kind of glad that we did end up reviewing this. We weren't really planning to when we first saw it. Um, but apparently, uh, allegedly, perhaps, we were told, it actually tastes different. And it does. And I think it's pretty interesting. Um, Unfortunately for me, I don't prefer it. And so while I am glad to have tried it, I do think that it's probably for me going to get a lower rating than an American Coca-Cola. If I can figure out how to add one, because I've never done this, there will be like a little card doodad that links to the American Coke, which I believe received a good rating. But this one, for me, is unfortunately just going to be an okay.